My guest is Don Amos from the Seniors Association. Nice to see you again.
You as well.
All right.
It's good to be back. It's been a bit.
It has been.
Yeah.
It has been. And there's still lots going on, though.
Yes. Yeah, we just started session 2, and session 2 will run for about 10 weeks for us. We've got 320 programs firing up.
And that's over all the campuses?
Yep.
It's not just a,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, right from
that's a lot.
4 spots in Loyalist Township, and then our satellite locations in Kingston, and then I affectionately call the mothership, the senior center. So it's good. It's been a busy time.
What's your membership now?
We are almost 5,100 members.
That is really amazing.
Yeah, we're the largest in the province.
Are we really?
Yeah, which is a nice thing to kind of brag about.
Absolutely.
With some staff in October, I attended a conference, a provincial conference, and we were discussing with other executive directors membership size, scope, all of that, and the ministry was there, and they confirmed that Kingston is the largest out of the 315 seniors active living centers in the province. Kingston is the biggest. It's
a gem. It really is.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You know, no matter what age you are, it's a real find. But for people who are a little bit older,
yes.
How old is your oldest?
We've got some centuries.
Yeah, I think
we've got
so.
some folks over 100.
Yeah, I kind of thought you might.
Yeah, they'll come in for the odd meal. They won't necessarily take our active programs now, but they like to come in and still support the association. And we've got lots of members in their 60s, 70s, 80s. We've got some members in their 50s.
Exactly.
So we've got the full gamut of age range there.
And full gamut when it comes to programs as well.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, I take in the later life learning on Friday mornings, and it is fabulous.
Yeah.
I have, you bring in a lot of Queen's professors, and it is so good.
Yeah.
And it's a flat 2 hours, and the question and answer is the best part. I think we get more out of that, but I highly recommend it. It is.
We've had a successful fall. The first one was about world conflict and the various activities that have happened in the world over the last couple of decades.
And put them in perspective and how one interrelates with the other, and it was super.
Yeah, I don't usually pop in for too long, but the one I popped in on, it talked about terrorism and financing terrorism and how that plays out.
I had no idea where the money was coming from.
No, it was a very, very intriguing conversation on how all that played out.
It sure was.
And then we pushed the envelope a little bit on our next series, and that was artificial intelligence. And we didn't know what type of response we were going to get with that. We weren't sure if our membership was going to be intimidated with that conversation, or they weren't interested in that conversation, and we were blown out of the water. The first session, we had about 155 people, and that's a pretty full gym. The second, the artificial intelligence, we had to bump it up to 165, and we still had a waiting list. People were desperately wanting to find out about artificial intelligence. And there's a gamut there of understanding what it is, and then there's the ethical side of that gamut as well of, okay, we understand now what it is, and how are we going to utilize this tool in an ethical way. And I know that a number of institutions like Queen's and St. Lawrence are struggling with those ethical dilemmas as well, and students are struggling with those as well. So it's a big, I won't say Pandora's box, because the box is open, and it's just understanding now how to utilize that tool the best way. And I think the 5-part series that we offered gave a lot of perspective on that.
It was so interesting, and every one of the speakers was right on the money. It's great. But there's things to kind of feed the mind. There's things to exercise the body. You can learn just about any language through taking some of your courses.
Yeah, we got German, Italian, Spanish. For 9 years now, I've worked at the center, and for 9 years I've been saying I want to learn how to speak Spanish, because once in a while my wife and I have the opportunity. We save up, and then we head down to Mexico for buying a week of winter in the summer, or sorry, a week of summer in the winter. And so I always wanting to learn how to speak that language in Spanish, and just I've never had the opportunity to enroll because it's always full. And it's a good problem to have. But
It's a good problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah.
So. And then there's different craft type.
Yeah, so if you're
programs.
into the traditional knitting, crocheting, or sewing, or anything of that type of variety, or painting, and you name the medium, we're doing it now. And it's kind of neat to see. I mean, my artistic abilities is like a zero.
It's
or like
mine too. Right, I know.
But I'm always at awe when someone, I'll walk into some of the classes just to say hi, and you'll see some folks that are working in acrylic paints of some kind, and you're like, wow, like it's just amazing the creativity and the imagination and the skill that you see in folks that are able to do that. And
you know, like they'll look at, I look at it and say it's garbage, and they look at it and say, oh, you could turn that into.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty, I mean,
pretty amazing.
Kudos to folks that have that type of talent.
Oh,
and we have the music programs we have as well. I mean, we have jamborees, I'll call them. And people are playing all sorts of different types of instruments, and you walk past the room, and sometimes they're all hitting the notes together, and the odd time they're not, and that's part of the joy of learning a new instrument, or just playing the instrument in a group setting, and then getting the vibe and feel for the group. And you put 15 to 20 people in a room playing a song, and then you can see the laughter and the smiles, and that's the most important part, is that aspect. So
have fun, having fun, and writing. There's all different kinds of writing courses.
Yes, we have some very skilled writers that work with people who are interested in either developing and writing a book, or poetry, or anything of that type of medium. My writing skills are okay, and that's why I have a communications team that helps me out. But it's nice to know that we have those folks in our skill level that are, ex-people that work in the newspaper industry, or have written books themselves, and then they come back and offer their skills and talents. So it's pretty neat. And a lot of our Vista newsletter that we put out, we have contributing editors, and those editors have come from very big magazines, newspapers that have just retired into the area. So the stories that we put in and the information that we put in is really done quite well.
That is great. Is that like the entry, the submissions from writers and so on? Yeah,
so about a third of our newsletter is around stories of what people have done in their past. And so the author will write it in, send it in to us, and then the editors, like a newspaper, they'll review it and they'll tweak it to assist in the flow. And then we send it back to the author for just final approval, and when we're good to go, then it gets into our newsletter. So
years ago, about 10 years ago, I used to submit articles, and I got to get back into that. It was fun.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a little thrill to see your name.
And it's a little, it's a little pat on your back to say, look, I got published. I got in a news, and then it's a decent sized circulation for our city. So
it is, I got to think about that. Got to get back into that. It's so, and even if you just want to go in for a meal, you don't have to be a member. You can go in and you can get a 3-course lunch for $12. I mean, where are you going to, all home cooked, where are you going to get that? Yeah,
and we, just so everyone's aware, we do an annual campaign every year, and that annual campaign starts October 1st to December 31st, and I'm segueing to that cost point. We use a lot of our funds to offset, to keep some of our prices lower. In the restaurant, you just said it, a 3-course meal for $12, and this is a super salad, full plate of food for your entree, and then a dessert with that for $12. So we use the donations that we get to assist in keeping the meals low, and then we have a member subsidy fund. So if an individual can't afford to have a membership, or they can afford to have a membership but they can't afford to take a class that they're interested in, we will subsidize that for them, and that's what the annual campaign does for us.
All good reasons to support the senior center. So if you're thinking about doing your Christmas shopping or your gift giving, you just slip a little money to the senior center and goes through
it goes a long ways, and it helps a number of. We've seen a change, a little bit of change in the demographics of the center, and I think a good change. We've had lots of people that like to enjoy our programs. But we've had some folks that have struggled economically in their life.
Yeah.
And we have been trying to promote to make sure that we're accessible to everybody. And now we're starting to see some folks coming in who have said, hey, I heard about your programs, can't quite afford it. Is there any way and the staff have been very good, the volunteers are good at reception, saying, oh yeah, we make it work, come on in, we'll have a conversation.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming in, fill us in today.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it.